Hello everybody and thank you for joining me. This is Sierra from Sierra T Designs and welcome to week 5 of my Christmas series. So let's jump in. So I am going to make a slimline card for this one, so I do like to cut down my cardstock to start. And you can see here I only have the 6-inch trimmer. So when I cut my cardstock, I'm always going to cut 4 inches off of a full-size sheet of cardstock. That makes my 7 by 8.5 inch base for my slimline card, and then I'm going to score it at 3.5. And then for my panels, I kind of have to eyeball it because the cardstock hangs off the end, as this is only the 6-inch trimmer. So I generally kind of have to bounce back and forth a little bit to kind of guesstimate at what my cardstock needs to be cut to. But I do cut this is a Neenah Solar White panel that I'm going to cut down to 1/8 of an inch smaller than my black matte, which is 1/8 of an inch smaller than my 3.5 by 8.5 once scored card base. And if you guys have ever had any questions, please leave them in the comments for me. I'm more than happy to answer any questions that I can. And then here, I'm still excited about this, guys, so eventually I'll stop showing it. But this is actually a holder that I created the document for, and you can download that free from my website if you'd like to. I'll have a post linked up in the comments. So we're going to do some oxide blending, which, as you guys know, if you've been here a little while, this is one of my favorite ways to create backgrounds. I'm going to use 4 different oxide colors. We have milled lavender, wilted violet, dusty concord, and black soot. And I'm just going to blend them back and forth. I have found that the domed foams really help with the blending process. At least for me, I really enjoy them. So for my oxides, I pretty much only use the domed foams. I have the Ranger flat foams as well, but I tend to use those with my Distress Ink minis because they can go underneath perfectly. So I kind of just only use my domed foams for everything else. But that's just me. I mean, use whatever you have. The brushes would work. Any blending tool you own would be great. I just have a tendency towards these dome foams because I think they're amazing. But yeah, and that's why I also created that storage for them, because they're domed. They don't sit nicely under the ink pads, at least for me with the way I store my inks. So I had to kind of create something that was a bit different. Now you're going to see that they don't blend perfectly. I really hope one day that Tim Holtz brings out a color that kind of can sit between milled lavender and wilted violet in the purple family, because there's a fair color difference there. I struggle a little bit to get them to blend in nicely, so there's always going to be a bit of a lighter patch. I like how it looks. That's just a personal preference. You could of course put something different there. That's just kind of the color combo I went, because if you guys know, I am like madly in love with purple. It's my favorite color. I love it for everything, so I tend to lean towards it when I'm not sure what colors to work with. And snowflakes, which if you've seen the thumbnail for this video, you know that this is a purple card with black snowflakes. So that's just kind of how I rolled for this. But I'm only using the black soot very lightly along the side, really to just kind of blend it into something a bit darker, because I'm going to have that black matte, and I find that kind of makes it look really nice when I transition between my colored panel and my black matte and then my white card base. So that's just kind of my preference. I mean, you could absolutely do this however you like. This is just how I like to go about it, but there's no wrong way to blend inks, I don't think, so whatever you like better. And then here I have some of the DecoFoil Duo Transfer Gel, or Transfer Gel Duo. The Duo just means that it can be used with hot or with cold. I'm going to use a Minc mini machine, as I own one, but you could put this in your Gemini or your Big Shot or whatever your machine is. And I also just have a gift card here to kind of scrape it across this long panel. That's just how I was doing it. I like to use what I have, because I don't have every tool. I wish, guys, but sadly I don't. So I kind of just put it on with my little spatula and then scraped it across with the gift card. And it's not a perfect lay on there. Like you're going to see when I lift this, that one snowflake on the bottom kind of left corner there isn't really filled in well, but it doesn't really matter because I'm going to cover it with some foil. So it's not really going to matter. And this stencil's not quite long enough to do a slimline, so I did add a little bit here at the end. And now we're going to learn something, because I've never done foil transfer before. This is my first time ever trying it, and I was so excited to do purple and black because I think it looks cool. And you're going to see here, I'm going to put it through my Minc, and I'm going to put it through twice, and you're going to see a little bit of smoke. It's a little bit of dust kind of coming off of the mini Minc, but I just ignored it. It didn't do anything. It didn't hurt anything. It's just a little bit of dust burning inside. And so I'm going to put it through twice. Now, I didn't show you, but I put the foil on upside down. And I'm going to show you in a second what that did to my cardstock. And then I'm going to show you the second one that I made right after I made the first one. Because I could not let go of this idea, and I refused to be beaten by the fact that it didn't work because of a mistake I made, not because there's anything wrong with the card. So here you can see that I have the foil on the wrong direction. The fun colored side has to be up, and you're going to see here in 2 seconds why. You guys, I was so upset when I pulled this off. Like, look at that. I'm like, oh no, I did this wrong. And here you go. That's what happened because I put the foiled piece on wrong. Here is another one that I've blended. I've done all the other steps again, and the foil is the right direction. And we're going to do a little reveal here. Now bear with me because I did everything again. I didn't show it to you because that seemed kind of redundant, but we're going to lift up the foil, and this is what I was hoping for the first time. So remember, when you foil, make sure that the colored side, the fun side, is up, not down. I was so upset when I took it off the last one, but I left it in because we all make mistakes. It just is what it is. It's not a deal breaker for me. Like, I just reblended my card and kept going. So I'm going to hold this up so you guys can see all that cool foiling on there. Like, you see how shiny that is? Isn't that neat? It doesn't photograph as well as I wish it did, but it looks stunning in person, which is kind of the point. So I did pull out my mini Misti, and I've got a big Christmas sentiment here. This is from Scrapbook.com's Big and Bold Christmas Sentiments. I have everything linked and listed down below if you're ever curious about anything I'm using in specific. Easily findable there for you. And I just stamped it out on another piece of the the Neenah cardstock, and then I am going to use my trimmer to trim it down. I really wanted to add a black border to the sentiment like I have on the card, like the black mat. So I'm going to trim this down quite a bit, and then I'm going to stick it down to a piece of black cardstock, the exact same black cardstock I used for the mat. And then I'm going to trim that down as well. And I wanted a super thin border because, as you know, when I trim down my background, or my first mat, I only have 1/8 of an inch around it, right? So it's quite small. So I really wanted this to have a really small border as well. So I'm going to use my Nuvo Deluxe glue, and I'm going to stick it down to the black mat for the sentiment. And then I'm going to stick it really close to the corner and then just trim off the excess. So this is what was left over from when I cut out my panel. I just keep the scraps sitting in a little bag so I can just grab them whenever. And then I'm going to put this back in my trimmer and then trim it super close to the edge because I want the smallest border. And I did opt to go with black ink because I really wanted a couple of black elements to tie it in together with the fact that it's really just purple and black and white because the base is white. So, I mean, you could have opted for stamping your sentiment in purple or any of the Oxide inks because Oxide inks are stunning to stamp with. But I did opt to go black and white because I kind of felt it was a more classic look with all the purple that's on the card. Because that's the only color on the card. It's black, white, and purple. So that's kind of what my thought process was there with the sentiment, is that I kind of wanted it to be a bit subtle, just to kind of let the color in the background pop. But I still wanted a sentiment on my card, of course. So I am going to use my Nuvo Deluxe glue and just put some glue all over the card. Now, I have a tendency to probably put more glue than you actually need to put on. That's just a habit more than anything. There's no right or wrong way. I just find that because I mail out a lot of my cards that I hate it when stuff buckles or lifts, or if somebody kind of hits it wrong or it gets shipped wrong or anything like that, it kind of ends up letting go in the center, and I don't like that. But that's a personal preference. By no means do you need to put on as much glue as I do. I'm a bit of a over user in the glue, but that's just me. By all means, make it however you like and make it to what you have. I mean, if you don't have liquid glue, tape runner, or foam tape, or anything like that, you could pop this up. I opted to go flat. Just as I opt to usually have a border around my cards, just because I love how it looks. So that's just kind of my preference. And then I am going to use that same Nuvo glue to stick down my sentiment, And then I kind of opted for the right hand corner just because I really like how it looks in the right hand corner. I have a tendency towards that corner, period. That's just my preferred area, but you don't need to put that there. Oh, sorry, my cat just hit the microphone. You could put it anywhere on the card. I have a preference towards the bottom corner. So that's just kind of what I was aiming for. And we are going to add a couple of sparkles throughout the card just because you can, because I love it. I love the glitter. So here I have some Studio Katia sparkling crystals and their embellishment wand and their little triangle tray. And I've just got a smattering, I think it's about 5 crystals that I'm going to put down. I always go for uneven numbers because I find it just looks better. That's just my personal preference. So I kind of just put, I believe it was 5 crystals across the card there. Oh no, it's going to be 7, I bet. I just put a couple of, and then I brought out my Wink of Stella. Nope, I'm sorry. It's my Spectrum Noir glitter pen. And I just added a little bit of glitter in the Merry sentiment. Sorry, my cat's smacking into my microphone, and I'm trying really hard to get him not to actually hit the microphone while I'm talking to you guys. But I just used my glitter pen there just to add a little bit of sparkle to the word Merry in my sentiment so that it had a little bit extra. And that's pretty much all I did for this card. I'm going to hold it up here for you so you can check it out and see how it looks with all that cool sparkle. And I hope you can kind of see the glitter and the Merry. And that's what I have for you guys for this week. So thank you so much for joining me. I'd love it if you'd subscribe, leave me a comment, leave me a like, and I will see you guys again for week 6 next week. Thank you so much, guys. Bye-bye.